All right, there's the click. All right, happy Sunday, everybody. It's October 12th, 2025. It is 17:33 p.m. I, as you guys know, am Donovan Sadiq, and for those of you guys have been asking about my shirt here, Wano, I'm sorry, how's it right here? We are not our ancestors. And this is a shirt that was sent to me by a viewer, good old friend of ours that does these incredible shirts. I'll give you guys the information down in the link in the comments. Longtime listener of ours, and he's always doing great stuff. And I promote a lot of his uh, shirts and things that he does. So if you guys are looking for a nice, great T-shirt, things like that, this guy does all that stuff. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But before we get into it, brother Tim, I am not ashamed to wear my Dallas Cowboy hat, and I'll tell you why. Because the Cowboys do what the Cowboys do. They play to the level of their opponent. So I'm not surprised they lost to the Jaguar, or not the Jaguars, the Panthers, Carolina Panthers. I'm not surprised at all. Teams that need a win and want to feel like they won the Super Bowl, play the Dallas Cowboys. You're most likely going to win, and if you beat the Dallas Cowboys, that's equivalent to being a Super Bowl champion, right? So I'm not surprised at all. It's frustrating. I mean, I can't even quantify how I feel about the money that these players are making and for the results we get as fans. You can't go to a game because tickets are, if you want a good seat, you're looking at $500, $600, $1,600 if you want a really good seat. But nosebleed seats are still $300, $400, at Jerry World. So I'm not surprised at all of the Dallas Cowboys. But what I really want to talk about is, real quick, that was on the Dimitri K show. You guys tune into that one. But what I really want to talk about is, remember a few months ago we were talking about like the President's War Powers Act. Remember how everybody was upset that Donald Trump's going to lead us into a war, he's going to do this, and he's doing all this, and how could he do that without Congress's approval? Yeah, Bruce, I got to quit watching, but I can't. I'm a Roger Staubach, Drew Pearson, Hollywood Henderson, Randy White type guy. I got to watch my Cowboys. But remember a couple of months ago, everybody was outraged that Donald Trump is, how could he do this? I forgot the exact issue, but, he has the unilateral power to do this and do that and send troops here and send troops there and do what he was doing, right? Remember, everybody was jumping down my throat saying, oh no, he has to get congressional approval. But, oh yeah, he bombed somewhere. I forgot the place. Like I said, I'm tired. It's been a long day. I got up super early this morning. Yeah, Bruce has spoke football. But Donald Trump, he bombed somewhere in the Middle East or whatever, and people were like, oh, he's got to get congressional approval before he does it, right? And I said, no, he doesn't. And I kept telling you guys, he doesn't need congressional approval because of the 9/11 Resolution Act that was never repealed. And so what I was trying to tell you is, when Congress declares war, right, until that war, and Congress hasn't declared war since World War II, until that war comes to an end and a conclusion, by a formal treaty, then the war is concluded. But Congress hasn't declared war since World War II. They've basically ceded their powers to the executive. And that gives the president to do what they want to do. So a good example for our parents, Vietnam veterans. The Gulf of Tonkin resolution was a resolution voted on by Congress, given to President Johnson to wage war in basically whatever he sees fit in regards to protecting American property and all that other crap, allies and all this other stuff against the communists, right? Johnson and Nixon both waged war in Southeast Asia under that authorization, right? Bruce says, can you imagine how much the taxpayer is paying to spray paint that orange and wart every day? Oh God, it's crazy. It's gonna get crazier. Like it hasn't even been a year yet, Bruce. It hasn't been a year. We've got three years and 3 months to go. So unless nature takes its course. So those two presidents waged the Vietnam War under that resolution, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, right? Which was another, as they say, it's alleged, fake incident that happened that got us getting boots on the ground in Vietnam. So recently, we had 9/11, right, which made us go into Afghanistan and Iraq, and we gave the government that resolution to do that, right? Now, that was under George W. Bush. Since George W. Bush, we've had Obama, and Obama has waged war under that that resolution of 9/11, right? He took over Libya, bombed in Libya and all of Syria and all this other. That's what gave the president the power to do those things, because that resolution was never repealed by Congress. Yeah. Hey, Bruce, I will be going back out of the country in a couple of weeks, so don't be surprised you see me somewhere chilling. Well, I'm going back to where I usually go, the Dominican Republic, but that's another story. But I'll be going other places soon enough. So just using some stuff I got to do, using my benefits while I could use them. So that's why I keep going back to the DR, because there's something I'm doing over there that I got to do. But I like it over there. So recently, everybody's, Trump, he's doing that. Trump used it as well, because it was never repealed. When the Congress declares war, until it comes to a treaty, then the war continues. But when we're in these operations, right, unless that operational resolution is repealed, all the presidents could use their powers under that resolution, because Congress gives them the power, but then Congress has to take the power away from them. And ever since 9/11, nobody has taken away that Gulf War resolution. And I remember I was telling you guys that the reason why Trump is doing what he's doing without congressional approval, because he doesn't need it, because they gave him the authorization to do it without their approval. And what they would need to do was to repeal that resolution, and they recently did that. And here's an article, and the article is with the Friends Committee on National Legislation, and it says 24 years after 9/11, Congress takes positive step toward ending endless wars. This was written September 17th, 2025, and it recently happened. As we mark the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, this month we honor and mourn all of those who died on that terrible day, and those that were maimed and are forever altered because they don't have any limbs or their mind is gone. It left a bitter legacy with hundreds of thousands of people killed, wounded, and displaced in the wars that followed. Last week, we saw the House of Representatives take a concrete step to end one chapter of endless wars by voting to repeal the 2002 Iraq authorization of the use of military force. War is not the answer to terrorism, not after 9/11 and not now. Today, the legacy and harms of the war on terror endure. As we've long advocated, it's essential that Congress close the chapter of this era of endless wars, beginning with finally repealing the post-9/11 war authorizations. These AUMFs have resulted in Congress largely ceding its constitutional authority to determine when and where the United States goes to war. Successive presidents, both Republican and Democrat, have expanded their scope to justify military actions far beyond congressional intent. The House voted to repeal the 2002 Iraq AUMF in a strong bipartisan vote as part of the annual military policy bill, the National Defense Authorization Act. This is good news, but the repeal still needs to pass through the Senate before it becomes law. The Senate needs to show the same leadership that the House has in working for an end to the war. The tragedy of 9/11 must not become the excuse for more violence. By ending the legal authority for the use of military force, Congress can promote peace and save lives. And that's just a small tidbit. And yes, Bruce, war is big business. I tell that all the time, and that's why most of my stocks are dealing with arms manufacturers. That's where I make a lot of my money, is in the arms manufacturing. So they finally did what I told you guys they need to do. And in Politico 3 days ago, the Senate votes to repeal Middle East war laws. The repeal of the Gulf and Iraq war authorizations, it is included in both the House and Senate defense bills, heightening its chances of passing. A bipartisan Senate coalition voted to repeal a pair of decades-old laws that greenlit U.S. military action in the Middle East. Senators, in a voice vote, adopted an amendment from Senator Tim Kaine to the annual National Defense Authorization Act that would scrub the old war power laws passed in the run-up to the 1991 Gulf War and the 2003 invasion of Iraq. 1991. I was a young man fighting that war. That authorization was not repealed. You're talking about almost a 40, 30-year-old law that gave the presidents the power to wage war without any oversight by Congress. The vote is a win for war powers advocates, and it moves Congress as close as it's ever been to rescinding the laws. Even opponents who see value in keeping the Iraq war measures on the books didn't press for a roll call vote on the measure. One of those opponents, Senate Armed Services Chair Roger Wicker, told fellow senators on the floor, "I see how the wind is blowing on the outcome of the vote." A similar repeal was included in the House and passed version of the defense bill. Its inclusion in the completing Senate bill makes it more likely that final compromise defense measures will repeal the old war authorizations, though it's far from a guarantee. Advocates in both parties contend older war authorizations need to be exercised to prevent abuses of presidential power, despite those wars having long concluded. Democrat lawmakers highlight President Donald Trump's use of the Iraq war authorization in part to justify a drone strike that killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani, whatever his name is, in Iraq in 2020. So if you guys are interested, Politico is covering it. All kinds of people have covered it. But when Congress gives the president the authority to engage in these operations, they have to also repeal it. But in a lot of cases, they don't do that. And then years go by, and then we see a president who looks like they are operating as a lone wolf, when the fact of the matter is they don't have to. And the congressional members use this as like a political football to gain favor or to gain re-election points, as oh, this is wrong and whatever. And us, the American people, we really don't know what's going on because we're not doing our homework. And when I was telling people that, you guys were telling me, oh, look at you, you think you know everything, and it's something about you, Donovan, where you're just Bruce says, well, we know Tiny Johnson blows. Yeah. But here's the thing. It's not the fact that I want to hear myself speak, because I could do that without coming online. The fact is, I try to engage with you guys because, let's face it, not everybody is an expert at everything. I'm not an expert at everything. If somebody wanted to tell me something about knitting, I'm going to listen to somebody who has a little bit more background than I do. You want to tell me how to cook some food. I'm not a great cook. I went to survival school. I can make a boot salad that'll tear you up. But I'm not a chef. So I listen to people who cook, right? If that's what I'm interested in. Unfortunately, politics is so complicated and it is so beyond the pale for most people, nobody's paying attention. So when I'm out here and I'm telling you guys what you're saying is wrong, and I'm giving you the facts, and I remember I was giving you guys the resolution to why Trump could do what he's doing, Obama could do what he's doing, Clinton could do what he's doing, because it was still on the books. It was still open. And I know, and I'm not blaming you guys, but ignorance is ignorance. When you're ignorant of, you're going with your emotions. Oh, he shouldn't do that without congressional thing. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. But it goes deeper than that. And this is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. You can't go off of your emotions. You got to go with what is and what the facts actually are. I'm not up here to make myself feel like I'm this great, smart, and intelligent person, even though I am a great and smart, intelligent person. I'm giving you guys the information so that you guys, if you're interested, because a lot of you guys aren't, which is part of the problem, so that you're not putting out false information. If you like it or not, Donald Trump and any president could wage war because these operations are still open. That gives him the authorization. You should be mad at Congress for not closing these operations once they've concluded, just like the article just said. But you guys called me everything and, what a child of God and all this other stuff. Oh, Donovan, you're an egomaniac and you're this. No, I'm just somebody that knows something that you don't. That's all. And I'm just trying to share it with you. Yeah, and Bruce, you're right. The voters are the football. And that's all it is. It's political football. Back and forth. Red, blue. My team, your team. Your team, my team. I'm watching football right now. What's the difference? Almost nothing. Right? Bruce says, politics is not complicated. All they need to do is take bribes and how to hide them. Yeah, that's if you're in the political game. when you're running for office, that's all you got to do. Say the right things, get elected. And Bruce, you're aware of this. Congressmen take half, because they're only in there for 2 years. More than half of their time now is raising money. That's why you don't hear from the congressman until it's election time. He's trying to get those big money donors. See, but people don't think about that. What is your congressman doing for 2 years, and then they pop up, and then they want to, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and nothing gets done. They go back, and then there's nothing that really gets done. It's crazy. So for those of you guys, again, that, were very disrespectful to me, whatever, it is what it is. I've identified who you are. And again, I just want to give you guys the proper information. It's not about me being, this super smart guy or whatever. When you don't know, you just don't know. And now we see they are finally grabbing the loose ends and doing what they're supposed to do as our representatives, handling our business. If you're going to authorize the president to go to war, once that war is done, take away that authorization. That's how it's supposed to work. And it is a dog and pony show. What a nice term for bribery, yeah? Well, bribery, Citizens United. That is the legal justification for legal bribery, Citizens United. And no party wants to repeal that law, but they complain about big money in politics. But nobody wants to repeal legal bribery, which is Citizens United. So again, I'm going to go walk this dog because this dog is Benny. But again, I told you guys so. It's my turn to spike the ball, and I'm going to spike the ball on all you guys that were just dogging me out. Nobody's apologized to me, and I don't expect you to. And but again, I want you guys to understand, when you're putting out false information, and if I'm putting out false information, I would hope you guys would tell me what's going on. Like I said, Bruce comes on here all the time, and I learn things that I didn't know, because Bruce has been on the earth a lot longer than I have. Not a lot longer, but he's been on here longer than I have, has a lot more experience than I have. So I'm going to listen to what he's going to say. And if I have an issue with it, I'm going to research what he says. I say that all the time to you guys. Don't just listen to what I say. Go research what I'm saying, because I don't want to put out outright lies. At least I'm hoping I'm not doing that. But when you're out here bitching and moaning about the orange man and what he's doing, what you need to be bitching and moaning at is your representative for not going there and handling the business to take away the authorization that the Congress has given him. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, tell the groups what they want to hear, and that's all you got to do. Oh, I'm going to fight for you. Oh, LGBTQ. Oh, oh my gosh, women's rights, reproductive rights, all of the things that they want to hear. As long as you say those things, you're in like Flint, right? So anyway, Donovan was proven right again. I'm going to take my flowers. I'm going to take my bow. Our education system still sucks, but I went and read encyclopedias on my own and studied things on my own. You don't have to go to school or college to be interested in something. Some of your best car mechanics, don't have a formal education. They just love what they do. And I love politics. I think it's fascinating. I love the law. That's why they call it studying law, because there's no concrete situation. The law is constantly changing. The Constitution is constantly changing. Yes, Trump is just a symptom of Congress's corruption. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Bruce, that's what I'm talking about. You see it and I see it. A Donald Trump just didn't happen. He didn't just happen. This is corruption that has gone unchecked for so long. The orange herpes, yes. And I've heard they found a cure for herpes. So they say it's like a natural cure or something. There is a cure for herpes. And the orange man's cure is a natural situation, or he runs out of office. And hopefully the damage that is done during this time won't be as bad as we anticipate. But then again, what are the Democrats going to do different? See, that's my whole thing. Donald Trump is bad. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. But what are the Democrats going to do to make it better? And you don't hear anything from them. Everything that Donald Trump is taking away, I don't believe the Democrats are going to reinstate it. I don't think they are. They're going to be like, yeah, because they're all the same. Like you said, Bruce, they're all rich. They're all the same. The corruption, they're all in it. They're all in the trough of corruption, enriching themselves. Why would they repeal anything that's going to take the heat off of them? Right. Without Congress, he would not even be an issue. Wow. That is profound, what you just said right there. He wouldn't even be an issue. And you're absolutely right. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. It'd be business as usual. So anyway, you guys, again, please read up on that. And now that you know this information, especially when it comes to situations like war, some of you guys that have grandchildren, those are going to be the kids that are going to be fighting these wars. And since we now know that authorization given is also authorization that needs to be taken away, we need to make sure that our children know that when Congress gives the president authorization to go to war, they also make sure once that war or operation is done, it is taken away from the president, so that we're not caught up in all this BS that continues to go on. A lot of Americans have been killed and maimed for no reason at all, just so rich people could get more richer, Yeah, it's common sense, but Bruce, the sad thing is, common sense just isn't common anymore. So, all right, you guys, let me get out of here. You guys have a blessed day. I will be back tomorrow with Demetra K, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. See you guys then. Ciao.